And all right, we have a quorum, and so unfortunately, we're going to kick the folks out here. You can come back in after we're done with our executive session. We have to speak with our attorneys. So, upon a motion made by the approval of 2/3 of the trustees present, the board may enter into executive session for the purposes of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions provided by the district's special counsel regarding workers' unionization and collective bargaining, as allowed by section 246402(4)B. I'll make that motion. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Any opposed? So if you're online, do you kick them into the waiting room, or they'll just have to rejoin and then you can let them back in? You'll have to rejoin once we're done with the executive session.
Is Nadine?
She's gonna come 15 minutes late. Sorry.
Are we gonna need this? Who's gonna watch?
It will have to be.
Okay.
So I kindly ask you folks to get out for a minute. It should be like, I don't know, 30 to an hour, 30 minutes to an hour. What?
And Ken, are you gonna record?
I can, yeah. By the way, the guy up here in the right-hand corner is Ryan Liston. He's a new attorney in our office who wants to work on libraries. So
You want him to
I
say?
think his first meeting.
Yes, nice to meet y'all. I was gonna say before I got booted that I'm with Senator Vanderwall and Milky, so I can stay.
If you can't do it though, Jennifer, don't worry about it.
No, I can do it. I just put everybody that was on in the waiting room.
I was really worried about the laser microphones they're using. Hey, I don't know what's going to be up on the screen, and so I just didn't want that.
It's good practice. I applaud your security.
So, okay, well, let's introduce ourselves. A couple of new people here. One in person. So go ahead and introduce yourself, and we'll introduce ourselves.
Fantastic. Good evening. So my name is Tammy Culver. I'm an attorney with Fisher Phillips. I predominantly practice labor law. I have been working with public entities probably the better part of the last 20 years, originally in California, representing public school districts in labor negotiations and advising counsel as it relates to labor negotiations. And then in the last 5 years, representing employers in Colorado as it relates to CACA and now PROBWA, but also a wide range of union campaigns and elections and through collective bargaining and advising counsel as it relates to collective bargaining, grievances, arbitrations. So it kind of runs the gamut from bargaining the contract to making sure that it's being properly enforced and or defending the enforcement.
We're back in the session here, and this is the January 13th meeting of the Boulder Library District. We have a quorum again, and we're going to go into public comment. One of our trustees is online. Ryan is an attorney with Senator Vanderwall. Yeah.
And Doug, I have to make an announcement before you start. For the record, the board went into executive session under 246402(4)B of the Colorado Revised Statutes, which allows conferences with an attorney to get specific legal advice. That attorney was in the executive session. That's Tammy Colcart, who is still here. Along with us was Jennifer Ferris and David Farnan, who are part of the management group for the library. So they're authorized to be part of that executive session as well. During the executive session, it was recorded, but I am going to certify for the record that all of the discussion was attorney-client privilege, and we will not be providing a tape recording under the Colorado Open Records Act, and we won't be providing any recording under the Colorado Open Meetings Law, but the certification will be there that it was all attorney-client privileged and not available to the public. And that's it. We can proceed.
Thank you. Anyone online that wants to speak in public comment, can you put your name in the chat or raise your hand, and I'll put you on the list I might mix you in with some of these folks. So in case so we only have 60 minutes for public comment, 3 minutes per speaker. And so I think the first person I have is, this is terrible, Niall? Niall.
And can I ask
Oh, go
a
ahead.
favor? Is there a way that the speaker could be somewhere where we can all sort of see them? Otherwise,
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
come up.
yeah. Is that, I was just
You were
thinking, I
there.
know it's a weird thing,
If
but
you're on this side, come
it's
outside.
hard, yeah, to have somebody
Come up
right
over
behind
here.
us.
Yeah, you don't want them all over your back shoulder.
Well, yeah, no, it just, I feel bad because I want to
Yeah,
look
yeah,
people in the
speak
face
to
when
voice.
I speak to
Okay, thank you.
Okay. My name is Niall Cease, and I'm a resident and library user in the West Pearl neighborhood of Boulder. I'm also a member of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, or IBW, Local 68, as well as the Boulder Area Labor Council. And I'm here to ask the library board to voluntarily recognize the workers' union because all workers deserve the benefits of being part of a union, which includes fair pay, good working conditions, and a feeling of camaraderie amongst coworkers. I've been an electrical worker for 6 years, previously as non-union, so I know how it is working with and without a union. I'm going to speak today about how having the backing of a union changed my life and why I think every worker should experience the same thing. I also think jobs paid for by our tax dollars should represent the values of taxpayers, which are that every job should be a good job. My union negotiated wages allow me to live in Boulder and spend money at local businesses like restaurants on Pearl Street, without worrying if I have to choose between paying rent or buying groceries, which many workers today have to do. As a city resident and taxpayer, I do not want the workers who the library district employs to have to make that choice. When people think about unions, they often think about better wages, but working conditions are just as important. As a non-union worker, I dealt with things like favoritism, where the boss gave better treatment and work tasks to his longtime friends and family members. I had to fight for basics like having water on the job site, even though it is required by OSHA. Speaking up meant a fight between only you and the boss, and an unknown amount of retaliation to follow. Retaliation which can be difficult to prove if fighting alone. I also went years without taking a real vacation because I never could afford to, and I was worried about retaliation if I took too many days off. And my employer often complained when people did take days off. Today, my union has my back if I need to speak up against my employer on any of these issues. So I never have to deal with them because my employer doesn't want to fight the strength of our union. Unions also provide camaraderie, which is very important in a time when many Americans are feeling alone and living under a tyrannical federal government. Being a union member means you have the back of all your coworkers, whether they're at work or at home. I go to an informal union meeting every Friday night where colleagues from Local 68 get to know each other outside of work. The feeling of friendship this has cultivated has made me much happier both at work and at home. I organize with my union siblings on activities to help fight for the working class and fight back against the injustices of our times. So I asked the library board to please recognize their union. The labor movement is already fighting against some of the richest billionaires and oligarchs this country has ever seen. It shouldn't have to fight its own government that should be formed by the people. Please choose the side of workers in your community.
Jeff, how do you say your last name?
For the 10
Hanke?
minutes.
Yeah, that's
Henke.
Because if you could maybe navigate the budget for that.
okay. This?
That'll work.
That's good.
I'm Jeff Hankey. I've been a Boulder resident for 9 years now. I'm not a union member, but I'm here in solidarity of them. I really wish I was. Unions are a backbone of this country. It's a shame of their erosion over the past 50 and 60 years. I think it's the reason why this country has become the way it has in terms of the concentration of wealth and power with a very few. So from my understanding, the library workers already had these protections before the city became a district, so they're trying to just reintroduce themselves into a union. But with that, I'm just going to say some points I wrote down. So I'm here as a community member who values our library and the people who make it run. Library workers are the reason this place feels welcoming, accessible, and functional. Unionizing is simply workers asking for a collective, structured way to have a voice in decisions that affect their jobs. It's not radical, it's the democratic process. When workers have stability, fair pay, clear communication with management, and the community benefits. lower turnover and burnout mean better services for all of us who rely on the library. I encourage the board to respect the workers' right to organize and voluntarily recognize the union. Supporting workers' rights to organize is supporting the long-term health and strength of our public institutions. As we all know, all of our public institutions are under threat, so let's make this happen.
Alejandra, you're next. Alejandra Beatty.
Hi, Alejandra Beatty. I am president for the Boulder Area Labor Council, so I support all of the working families in the Boulder County and 5 other counties, but obviously Boulder County is the most important one because that's all the folks here. So I just want to share with you a couple of things. I want to make sure that we get to some of the workers because those are the most important people that we need to hear from. But I want to tell you all why it's super important to me that you all join us in the fight in supporting unions. So let's talk about the macro level. We need to save democracy. I'm sorry to put this on your shoulders, but this is an action that you can take, tiny little thing you can do that can help us across the nation and help us in the state. And this is important to support working families that just need to have good benefits. They need to be able to survive and thrive and build a better community. And you can be part of that. And we need you to get there as quickly as possible, because in case you hadn't noticed, authoritarianism is knocking at the door, and it would like to take Boulder down too. And I think it's important for all of you to realize that that is part of what you can help us with. But I also want to emphasize for all of you the importance of, like, it's okay to be selfish in this too. Like, you have a foundation to support and manage and deal with the budget issues. You have things that you need to worry about. But having a union is actually going to help you with that. Now, you've probably heard a lot of myths about, like, well, this means that our wages are going to go up. And how are we going to support all of this? It's going to be a budget increase. What do we do on this? But what people are not telling you about is the improvement that you're going to see in retention and all of the retraining costs that you no longer have because you've built a community environment inside of your structure that lets your workers have a strong voice at the table and help you all come together. Like, yeah, we're going to have budget issues. How do we do this together? How do we fix these problems together? And a union is a structure that lets that independent voice rise up in ways that you're just not going to get otherwise, because it creates the safety as well for people to be able to share with you things that they might be worried about. Like, I don't want to lose my job if I come up with this really good idea, but I also have a union now to back me, to tell me it's okay, we're going to work this together, and also lets you have the collective voices that, again, will help you strengthen and improve the foundation and help you get through what is probably going to be some rough times. Like, in all of our public sector spaces, we are facing this. I am a union organizer for our Boulder County workers. I see this all the time.
That's 3 minutes.
Is that 3 minutes? So please do vote to recognize it. Thank you.
Shelby Bates.
Okay. Hi, I'm Shelby Bates. I'm a resident of Boulder and a library patron. So I feel a little out of place because really I'm just here as a regular person that was like, wow, the library is gonna unionize. That's super rad. I used to be in union, so that's cool. Anyways, I have lived in Boulder for about 8 years. I grew up in the Arapahoe County Library District in Aurora. And so I'm really excited that Boulder actually has a library district also now. So first, thank you all for being here for that. And I'm really here to speak in support of library workers. So as a patron, the library workers are what make up the key foundation of my library experience. I actually have a mobility disability and chronic illness, and it is the library workers who make the library accessible and make it work for me. When I went to the makerspace and the tables were too tall, the library workers came up with a solution when I feel lightheaded and I go to the library and I say I'm trying to find a book, I find a library worker who will take me right to the book that I want so I can get it out quickly. I can count on library staff to direct me. If I'm too sick to leave my house, staff have worked with me on plans for how to access books in other ways and to have other folks bring me books or pick up books. And I think the library staff have put on so many important conversations in the community about race in class, whether it's with One Book, One Boulder, whether it's with Surge in the nice theater space, so on and so forth. So I think I just want to reiterate, like as a patron, the library staff make the library what it is. I came to one of these meetings a couple months ago and there was a lot of talk about the Meadows branch, which is my home library. And while I think a new library building sounds great, I really urge this board to prioritize staffing and union efforts because it's staffing that allowed that branch to reopen fully after a lengthy closure due to layoffs in the peak of COVID. And I did not have any library access during that time because this branch is really far from me with mobility disability. Anyways, to conclude my comments on the importance of the library staff, I encourage the board to voluntarily recognize the union. It feels particularly relevant because our library workers used to have a union protection. And I think that extending voluntary recognition to union is a show of good faith and collaboration as we all collectively endeavor to have a strong, flourishing library district. That is my comment.
Aiden Reed. I will say we can applause, but there is a time limit between each person. So. It's up to you.
Good evening. My name is Aiden Reed. I'm a Boulder resident and proud library patron and enjoyer. I've lived in Boulder for almost 5 years, and a constant throughout that entire time has been fantastic library access. Library workers do more than help us find books or movies. They also act as resource connectors, helping library users, no matter who they are, access the things they need to thrive. I once watched a librarian help a man with a disability learn where the bus stop was and how he could access public transit. That kind of service is invaluable. It honored that man's dignity and personhood and is just a small example of what library workers do every day. I hope you will recognize the BPLD union, whose workers do such crucial, excellent work for Boulder's community and residents. Boulder's library workers deserve the protections and dignity afforded to all unionized workers, which should be extended to all workers, really. And given that Boulder prides itself on its progressive values and support for labor, I hope you will honor the union's hard work and dignity of its members by voluntarily recognizing the union. Thank you.
Autumn Archer.
Sorry, go around to the other side. Right there, like everybody can see me a little better. Hi, I'm Autumn. I am here today as a library patron and a community member. I live up in North Boulder, and I just wanted to talk to you guys today without any prepared comment from the heart on behalf of these workers and our community. That we as a community really cherish these workers and the hard work that they do every day. I know that you guys are in a really tough position, lately with budget cuts and difficulties. And I know that it can feel recognizing this union is scary. It can feel like it's asking for you guys to step back and give up some of your power to be able to manage these these emergency situations. But I just want to speak on behalf of these workers as partners and as members of these communities that they can help, that the role of unions is to really embody those democratic principles and ideals that make public libraries work. The idea of public access and public participation and free speech, right of association, all of these fundamental American values that are seen in libraries are represented by unions. I know that the past of unions, because we can't ignore history, has left some lingering doubts in the minds of a lot of people as to what the role of a union is. But I just want to say that today is a new day. We have a new generation of unions that are stepping forward and stepping into that role, and that everything I've seen from this union and from every union across this country is that they are determined to embody those ideals that once just moved throughout the entirety of the labor movement, and to be those democratic cornerstones. By recognizing this union, you're not giving up like, anything from the community, you're empowering our community and empowering these community members to be able to have a voice and have a say and to step up and own the mission of this library and make sure that this mission can be a success. So yeah, that's basically it for me today, but I'm just asking that if you voluntarily recognize this union, that you recognize it as a partner that is here to support you guys and ensure that this library is a success, and not as an adversary that wants to domineer this library, but that these workers have done amazing things for this community. They work very hard every day. And as a community, we just want to recognize that and make sure that they also have equal voice in what this library does. So thank you.
There's somebody in the
waiting room. Oh, thank you.
Okay, so next I should do this like the city council. We have Michael, Claudia, and Joseph. Hey, Joseph.
Good evening, all. My name is Michael Miller. I am a Boulder County resident and a patron of the Boulder Public Library here, and I am here tonight to ask you to voluntarily recognize the workers and their union. Similar to Autumn, I'm just speaking from the heart here. I strongly believe personally in the democratic values that unions bring forward to the workplace that we enjoy in many other aspects of our lives. Just being able to see already the broad support that these workers have gathered from the amounts of people that are showing up to these meetings, as well as the participation that they've already had with cards and people joining into the union, show just how broad their support and organization has already gone as they move forward to try and regain the privileges and democracy that they had previously before the district was made. I just think it's really important to, recognize them as a partner, just as Autumn was saying, as, going to an election really kind of just wastes time that, these people have already organized for and shown a very broad base of support. Whereas we could see a very productive partnership here. I would also like to point out, as a community member here, the work that everyone does here at the library is super important to me, and it supports the community that we have. But the workers themselves are also members of the community. We're not taking away anything from the community to be able to support the democratic rights of these workers. We're actually strengthening them, being able to support people to have working conditions that are fair and just, so that they are able to go throughout their days with dignity, as well as, be able to then have time off and be able to pursue other interests in life is something that's, I personally think is incredibly important, and I hope that you all do as well. I just want to reiterate, I hope that you as a board consider voluntarily recognizing the union and the broad base of support that they've already generated here, and that we can move forward as a community with the support of this public institution and the democracy that this union will bring. Thank you.
I think Claudia, Joseph, and Karen.
I don't know that there's anything.
Yeah. Claudia Bean.
Claudia Bean. Hi, good evening, trustees. My name is Claudia Hansen-Bean. I'm a resident of Boulder. I'm a parent of 2 library rats and a loud and proud supporter of the 2022 ballot initiative that created this library district. I'm speaking tonight in support of the library staff and asking for your recognition tonight. So I, like many Boulder residents, support public libraries because they are critical social infrastructure in our community. They are cornerstones of democracy and our precious public life. And the library staff are really what brings these buildings and this institution alive in our community. They're the face and the heart and the soul of the library. And I know that as library advocates, you know how much this staff matters to the mission. When we campaigned for an independent library district 4 years ago, the library staff raised concerns about losing union representation. And at that time, as a campaign organizer, I assured them, and we assured them, that they would be okay, And I truly believed that, because libraries at their core are democratic institutions, and so they should also be democratic workplaces. I know that many of you on this board are sympathetic to workers and labor organizing, but now in the role of managing a library, you may be getting different advice. And I know that in times of uncertainty and austerity, it is difficult to share power or make new commitments. And I just want to encourage you and challenge you to look past that. We're at a moment in history where leaning into solidarity and leaning into democracy matters. It matters every day, it matters everywhere, and at every scale. And our Boulder community sees this. And our libraries, in fact, help us to see this as a community. Your library staff, like the library itself, are on the front lines of our community. The staff are advocating for what they need to keep on giving us in the community their very best. And they deserve the dignity, security, and respect that comes with union representation. So I really hope you will move quickly to recognize them. Thanks.
Joseph Stein, and then Karen Bowen and Rachel G. Levine.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Joseph Stein. I'm a member of the community. I grew up here. I've lived here almost all of my life. I was a member of the Teen Advisory Board at the Boulder Public Library. I currently live in Baltimore, Maryland, where I am a proud member of United Electricians Local 197, TRUE, Teachers and Researchers United, the Graduate Student Workers Union at Johns Hopkins University. So since winning recognition, TRUE, Teachers and Researchers United have had numerous victories that I won't go into here. The most important is dignity in the workplace, a seat at the table for bargaining, and a voice in every policy that affects us. We have dignity at work that we didn't have before. We have a seat at the table for every policy that affects us that we didn't have before. We had job security that we didn't have before. And these things not only matter materially, but matter for making a joyful and dignified workplace. Now, as you all know, as we all have experienced, Boulder Public Library gives the community dignity, democracy, a seat at the table. They gave me a seat at the table as a teenager on the Teen Advisory Board. And I think that the library staff deserve all of those things that they bring to the community: dignity, democracy, a seat at the table. I know many of you all agree with this, but I want to underscore that point. I want to briefly add, as a knowledge worker in another union, that knowledge workers, teachers and researchers, librarians, have found ourselves, sometimes unwillingly, on the front lines of the fight against fascism. And we need some horizontal solidarity and organization. So as a member of another union that is mostly knowledge workers, we will benefit from recognition of knowledge workers across the country, because we are in this fight and we need, and I assume that you all need, all the horizontal solidarity you can get. Thank you.
Karen Bowen.
Hey, my name is Karen Bowen. I've been at Boulder Library for 12 years now. I am the adult literacy coordinator for Boulder Reads. We're hitting 40 years this year. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I want to contextualize the formation of this union, both personally and professionally. I've been an adult educator for 29 years. In this field, having a full-time job, let alone a full-time job with benefits, is not the norm. I'm awed that I've always been blessed in this regard, and I'm utterly grateful to have spent the last decade of my career at the Boulder Public Library District. For most of my career, I have not had access to union protections. I very much hope to see this shift here at the library. Boulder Reads, as a program, can get a little siloed. Collaborating across departments requires attention and time, and for most of its existence, Boulder Reads has had fewer than 3 staff people. So we haven't had capacity to collaborate as much as I would have liked. That changed for me when I served as co-chair on the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion team. I learned for the first time about the day-to-day realities that my coworkers face on the front line: materials handling, flooding in the basement, programming, all distinct, all with particular challenges, and yet all motivated by the same flame of service. I've seen that flame over the past 2 years in the course of this organizing work, and I want to just take a sec and recognize everyone, all my coworkers, for the time and passion that you have given to this union. I could not be more impressed by you. It is my hope and request that this board votes to recognize us voluntarily so that we and the board and leadership can come together, fan the flame of service, and keep this library as a shining light in this community. I think I participated in my first pro-labor march in the late 1980s. I was on a school trip to El Paso and Juarez when we were caught up in a march. Our teachers were lovely about it, and we just grabbed signs, and we were marching in solidarity with these workers from the sweatshops. We were barely teenagers, but there was an opportunity to show up, and we took it. For me, working on the union is showing up for my coworkers, for our patrons, for my learners. I believe it is taking a deeply real, deeply concrete action for the greater good. I'm excited by the possibilities and opportunities that are going to come for us all. I believe this union can only make the library better. There is an immediacy to the work we do, an immediacy to this effort, and to your response, frankly. I know that all of you serve because you believe in the mission, because you also want to show up. I hope that you can see that recognizing this union voluntarily so that we can move forward is not just showing up for staff, but for the critical services we provide for this community. Thank you.
Okay, Rachel Levine, and then finally Christine Bird.
Hi, I'm Rachel Garfield Levine. I'm a librarian at the Nobel Library, and I want to talk a little bit about the changes I've seen at the library through the time that I've worked here. This year will mark my 11th year working for Boulder Public Library, very technically. I started as a substitute in November of 2015 and began working at the Nobo Corner Library, the little 570 square foot one, in April of 2016. That same year, BPL was named Colorado Library of the Year, cementing its place in our community and our state as an example of what a great library can achieve. This has always been in the back of my mind as I worked at BPL. I have always believed we are all working together to constantly improve and to demonstrate what can be done in a library where everyone truly cares. In the decade I've been at BPL, I have seen many changes, from phenomenal increases in staff diversity to creation of new positions and makerspaces to a sharpened focus on the needs and inputs of staff. So many of the changes I have seen have been truly positive for staff, the library, and the community at large, and have been brought about partially or in full by the advocacy of staff members. The biggest change yet was obviously January 1st, 2024, when we officially became a library district, separating from the control of the city and able to chart our own course for the first time. In the 2 years since that change, BPLD has almost doubled in staff size, has opened 2 new branches, and has put our new funding to great use. The district has been able to start working on long-needed repairs and changes, offer amazing staff benefits like wellness funds and grandparent leave, invest in new recruitment and retaining strategies like IDEA programming, inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility, and overall continue to work toward being a leading example in Colorado of what a library can achieve. By voluntarily recognizing a staff union and granting collective bargaining rights, you will only be continuing in the tradition of BPLD that I have been lucky enough to be a part of for a decade. The tradition of leading, of being a library where all staff are respected, protected, and included, and of continuing to show our community and our state what it is possible for a library to achieve.
Christine Bird.
Hi everyone, I think I've met you all at this point, but for the record, my name is Christine Burke. I've worked here as a volunteer program coordinator since 2020. First, I want to say thank you to each of you for engaging in this conversation about unionizing with us. It's been less than 3 months since we first presented to all of you in October, and it is evident that you are listening, taking us seriously, and taking clear steps to move this along. So thank you. As we continue forward, we as staff want to have a good working relationship with all of you as the board. Item 4 of tonight's meeting agenda suggests that you may choose to vote tonight to voluntarily recognize us. As has been mentioned in previous discussions, a supermajority of staff have signed cards expressing our desire to be represented by the union. By choosing to voluntarily recognize us, thereby avoiding a potentially lengthy, costly, or divisive election process, you will demonstrate your trust and respect for staff and a spirit of collaboration, productivity, and efficiency that we hope will continue to shape this process. Furthermore, if you choose to voluntarily recognize us tonight, a formal policy process may no longer be required. Instead, we will be able to move quickly to discuss these topics with the administration and board in preparation for bargaining and in contract negotiations. My ask and hope of each of you is that you vote yes tonight to recognize us as an employee organization and collective bargaining unit. If there is more work to be done on this, we'd like to schedule a subcommittee meeting as soon as this week, if possible. Then I look forward to establishing agreed upon rules and getting to the bargaining table soon to negotiate the first ever labor contract for Boulder Public Library district workers. In the midst of uncertainty of the broader world, having a union with a legally binding labor contract strengthens our library workforce. It will improve our ability to serve our community, and it will be another example of that Boulder Public Library is a model public institution to emulate. This will be an accomplishment and a legacy that I hope we will all be very proud of. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no one online that wants to speak, raise their hand to speak, and nobody else on the list, that concludes public comment. I'll just start off and say, yeah, the question, we put down as number 4, can be a little confusing. I think, we met with our attorney for the first time here tonight, and we're, trying to understand what this process will look like. I think, the question before us, as a board will be, do we continue forward with the process of potentially voluntarily recognizing this union? And I think, and we'll go around and people can ask questions, but how that process will look for us is if the board, if we go around and the board says we want to continue this process, then we would probably take the policy or a policy that we looked at the last meeting or the meeting in December and make some edits to it, and then there may be some stuff we want to meet with y'all again, and there may be some stuff that we want to discuss with you about that policy, and then I think if eventually we would vote up or down on that policy, and at that point, I believe I could be mistaken. That was when we once the criteria of the policy are met, then we would take a vote to voluntarily recognize the union. So, speaking for myself, I agree with a lot of the commenters that this could make a stronger library system, and I'd like to proceed in that vein of creating a policy. I think there's some stuff we need to work out as far as who's in the bargaining unit and not, and I think that we can outline that in the policy and discuss it and get feedback on it for the public. But yes, that's where I am. I think we'll just go around. I don't know, Tom, you want to start? You or Andy, you want to start? But you can also ask questions.
I'll go last.
Okay.
You really are becoming a lawyer.
So.
Manure. Well, first of all, thank you all for showing up again. I'm impressed. You're giving a lot of your time, and that shows a commitment to this, and I appreciate that. As I've said clearly in private conversations and in public, my goal is to see there become a majority in this board that wants to move forward on collective bargaining. I still don't know that exists yet, and that's what this process has been about. And so I appreciate everything that was said tonight. I couldn't agree more with you about the risks to the country, the democracy, what knowledge workers, librarians, et cetera, have to offer to their community, to each other, and to the country. But it's a little different, as someone pointed out, when we sit on this side of the board and we have fiduciary responsibilities to a community of taxpayers and voters that created this district. And so we're always going to be in this position of trying to do the best for the collective. And that collective has to include the taxpaying part of the community, because they could undermine us. I mean, the day could come where we're all in a fight on a ballot measure that's trying to lower the property tax and cut it out. So it's like we're in a strong place right now, but we're trying to do something in this process that becomes a policy that future boards can continue to operate from. And so I would say to you, be patient. As you said, in 3 months, you've come a long way. Maybe within the next 3 months, we'll be on to the next step, but maybe sooner.
Sylvia?
I'm in favor of continuing the process.
Any other questions or comments?
No, not really.
Thanks everyone for coming out. I love seeing so much engagement with the Board of Trustees. We have been doing this since 2023 and we don't always get anyone here. And so it's been really fun to see so much engagement both from staff and from the community. I think we all sit at this table because we love this library and we love staff in particular. And so it's really fun to see the engagement from everybody. And yeah, I think we've all had to learn a lot. And we've kind of had to, as with all things this library district, I think we've had to build the plane as it's flying. And so we've had to do that with this process as well. And I think we're getting there. And I think, I think at least I've learned enough that I want to keep proceeding in the process.
Yeah, and I would just to echo that, I do appreciate the engagement of many people and just the consistent and diverse comments that we've received that help us understand a different point of view and one that we may not always see and appreciate from our vantage point. And I support the direction, Doug, that you've laid out for our next steps.
All right, well, I'll reiterate everyone else said. I thank all the staff and everyone else who commented tonight. I appreciate everyone showing up. We do have meetings unrelated to unionization. I would also encourage you to show up and those. To Doug's point, we don't get very many commenters unless we're talking about this specific topic. So I appreciate your enthusiasm. I hope someone gets this motivated about buildings or books or all of the other things we also get to talk about. I will say that I think as a district, we very much value our staff and we recognize that you are what make this district the district that it is. And I think we've tried to recognize that by and large, I think improving all of the benefits staff has received relative to when we were part of the city. And I've been proud to be able to be part of that, right? Like we love being able to support you and we've been lucky to be in a position where that's something we've been able to do. We, to Tom's point, hope that we continue to have the tax revenue to do that into the indefinite future. Unfortunately, we do not control the tax revenue we pay in. No matter how good of a job we do as a library, we cannot directly change the amount of money we have. That comes down to the property tax assessments in the city of Boulder and the willingness of people of Boulder to pay a given property tax rate. So that is what we're always up against. That's what we're always balancing against. And that is where we have to make sure we are balancing the needs of the community, the future of the library, and the needs of our staff, and kind of the tension that's inherently present in any of these discussions of those sorts of topics. I am supportive of the union in general. I do think we should move forward with finalizing the points Doug mentioned. We do need to nail down some details here around exactly who is eligible. That's going to dictate exactly who gets covered by the union representation. I think that's an important thing for us to have figured out prior to voluntary recognition. We've discussed doing this policy. I do think it is useful to have a policy here, if not only for our benefit, but because it helps future boards who might also encounter this question. I mean, hopefully we get this done now and AFSCME remains a solid bargaining partner well into the future and we don't have to have this discussion again. But we can't predict the future, right? There could be another discussion here 10 years from now, 5 years from now, and I think it's useful for us to kind of lay the groundwork now at the beginning of the district to how this is going to get handled in the future. The final point I think I'll make here is, at least personally as a board member, part of the way I'm thinking about this is we had a lot of staff members here tonight, and I think we all recognize the importance of them having a seat kind of in the discussion at the table. But ultimately what we're deciding here is whether to recognize AFSCME specifically as the representative of staff that we'll be negotiating with. And I think one of the questions we've been trying to suss out is we want a reliable bargaining partner on the other end of the table, right? We want someone who can engage with us in good faith and can get to a contract in a reasonable amount of time. I think we all fear being in a position where we're stuck in negotiations for years and all of the baggage and overhead and problems that come with that sort of an arrangement. So well, I'm sure we could very quickly, well, maybe not, but I would hope we could very quickly get to a contract. I think part of what we're trying to just better understand is making sure that AFSCME is the group that is capable of being at the other end of the table. We really are signing up for a marriage here with them, not with staff, but with their representative, which will be AFSCME in this case. And I think it's important for us to make sure we understand what that looks like and that we're all in a position to kind of get to a contract in a reasonable and timely manner, in a contract that best represents the needs of the district and the needs of our staff. I think that's all I have to say. But yeah, I think if we can, I would love to put this to bed sooner rather than later. I don't think we're going to be voting on voluntary recognition tonight, but I do think we should try to get there relatively quickly. The point's been brought up about voluntary recognition versus a vote. I would just want to make the point so everyone's clear on this. The district is governed by PROPWA, which is the Colorado law that's kind of present here. We're not a county, we're not a city. Because of that, voluntary recognition is the only form of recognition. There is no means to force recognition of a library district in Colorado to recognize a union. So it's basically voluntary recognition or no recognition, and that's the decision we're working to make.
Nadine, yeah, I knew. I was just taking in what Andy said.
Did you pass it over to me, Doug? Sorry.
Yes, sorry.
You can hear like every little shuffle on the other end, so it gets a little noisy. I think on my end, one, thank you all for continuing to come out. Your engagement and your enthusiasm is wonderful to see. I think, frankly, for me, I'm in the learning boat. This is something that's entirely new, and there's been a really steep learning curve to understanding how all of this will impact not only the library, but also just like taxpayers as a whole. I think really, pressing upon the point that Tom talked about a bit too. And so I think just bear with us as we continue to learn and to explore. And I think us taking our time, I think it's a good thing. We're doing our due diligence to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for a successful future. So, I again applaud all the enthusiasm, and we're working through everything.
So are you, did you say? Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm taking notes, and I'm not good at taking notes and listening at the same time. So, okay, so I think I'm hearing a majority support, so I think we'll proceed with the policy, unless you guys want to call a vote. I don't think we need to, but I think we're good. And so I think the next question will be, I think we need to have another special meeting. I would like that to be February 3rd. Is that okay for you? You can't make it? Okay. Okay. Or we could do the 27th. You're out.
I'm out. Are you not? The second week of February doesn't work for you?
I could do the 10th. I'm supposed to be skiing that week, but
That's a school vacation week?
no. The next week is the schools are off on, I believe, the 16th and 17th.
Well, you can be remote.
Yeah, I'll just be remote. So I guess we'll do February 10th. If anybody has problems with that, and then I'm in Austin the next week.
I think there was a request for us to meet.
Yeah, that's the next stuff. So I think we need a team to meet with the organizers, and then a policy drafting group of two people. And I personally think David should also be part of that, help with the policy, and maybe Jennifer as staff members. Does anyone have a strong?
I'm happy to help with the policy.
Okay. I think you're an excellent choice. Anyone else? Tom? Or Andy. So.
I mean, I'll do one or the other.
So my suggestion is let's, before we write a policy, and we're gonna have, let's get the meeting.
Yeah.
Get the feedback from the meeting. I'm glad to work with you on the policy.
Okay.
You want to be in the meeting.
Yeah, I
think you
haven't met with the
gonna
organizers yet, so I'm happy to take that on.
Right? Wasn't that what we decided last time was gonna be you and Benita?
Well, we said it was Benita, we didn't pick a second.
Oh,
So
no, that's fine with me. Good with you?
That's fine.
Yeah.
And anyone want to help Sylvia.
I said.
Oh, you would help. You
Yeah.
do both. Okay. So who
I'm not
else?
gonna do the meeting, I'm gonna help her.
The two of them on the policy, Benita and I will
Okay,
meet
good.
with.
Thank you.
Commissioners.
Sorry. I mean, I think this is a good next steps, and so when do you think you could meet with them this week or next, or
I think there was a request to meet this week. Could you
if they
imagine?
can?
I could have to be Friday or
Friday?
Friday, but we can find that work.
Okay.
We will shoot to do it the next week.
I have like no multiple or like can you guys give me like a single person that's in town or a single contact?
You can add me.
Just you, Christine. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll just forward it to the group.
Okay. I
Because
don't
I
think
put-
I can email your list group or whatever. I think it won't let me do that.
Oh.
You have like a Google group,
Yes.
but I think it'll.
I think if you email it, it gets sent to all of us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll test
If
that
you
out.
try that, to send it just to the group.
I'll try that out.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to just send Benita and I who we need to
Yeah.
contact?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give it to you.
Okay. And Christine, if you guys are around on Friday,
Yep.
we'll get an email out to you shortly and try to get something set up sooner rather than later.
Perfect. Great. And communication is to y'all's trustee emails. Yes. Great.
Thank you.
Any other, David, do you have any other comments or?
Good work.
Do we meet next week?
Yes, yeah, next week's the regular
We have a regular board meeting.
Yeah, regular board meeting, we probably won't talk about union stuff. We won't probably have we won't have the policy together by then. And so, but you're welcome to come.
Benita and I might be able to have an if we do manage to meet the organization.
You'll be able to
we
report.
can
Yeah.
come with an update on how.
Okay. All right. With no further comments or suggestions, then the meeting is adjourned. I don't normally.